Don't worry, I haven't hit the record button yet. Okay, I just did. But you good to go?
Yeah, good.
All right.
Let's go.
Let me just sync the audio and visual. The cameras are on. Is that camera recording? Okay. All right, Carl, welcome to the show. Good to see you again. I last met you over at One Bike Asia during the launch of the Cannondale Lab 71. Hey, so we met Carl earlier just now before the launch. Yeah. Now it's super crowded. So what brings you here today, man? And you're excited? I heard there's a new bike coming out.
Yeah, so I was told there's a new bike coming out, and kind of excited to see what the new bike is. Right? There's all these new technologies, new features that the new bikes have. So kind of excited to see what it is.
Are you gonna get one? Are you gonna place your order tonight?
Yeah, we'll have to see what it looks like first. See what color ranges there are, and then. Maybe, we'll see.
If he gets the bike, please comment and ask him to come on our show because we have not seen this yet on the channel.
I need to ask my wife first, right? So
it's okay. Is your wife here?
No.
It's okay. Everybody who comes on my show, they always hide their wife away. So, and I don't think their wife watches all their interviews.
Yeah. No, my wife knows about all the bikes, so it's fine. More streamlined, like it's more straight, I guess, more aerodynamic. Around the BB area also, it's a lot more sleek. Doesn't have that bulge like the old one has. So. I think the bike has a lot of potential. From what I hear, the weight is also very good. So I'm excited to see or test ride one when it comes or when I'm able to.
Will you be getting yourself one?
We'll have to see. The good thing is One Bike has the ID match system, so they have my specs already. I'll be excited to see what kind of specs I would fall into and whether I'm comfortable with it, and then maybe test ride something. We'll see. Right. But never say no, right?
N+1.
N+1.
Thank you, Carl.
Thanks. Yeah.
I interviewed you, a brief interview, and I was told by OBA guys that I should interview you because you had a very custom painted Ostro VAM. So we're here today. Thank you again once for coming over. If you could give us a brief introduction of yourself.
I've been cycling since 2013, 2014, I think. I injured my back and I couldn't run or do anything really physical after that. So cycling became my cardio for me.
Okay.
And so I started off with, of course, the basic bike, and then graduated from there, tried a few different bikes, different setups, and so far this is the favorite one.
Right. And how long have you been riding?
So since 2014, what's that now? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Right. Okay. And I heard that you are a golfer.
I'm a professional golfer by trade.
Wow.
But I don't play professional golf anymore. I still hold a membership, but no more professional golf because of the back.
Okay.
But also, I wasn't good enough to be making lots of money, so...
So you actually consider doing golfing full-time? Like a professional career?
Yeah, started out that way, and then I got into coaching. Worked at a few golf clubs, a few golf academies, and then got a job with Adidas, and then after that got a job with Echo. So I'm working for Echo now, in charge of the golf and of course distributor sales as well.
But I know you said you had issues with your back because of golf. Wouldn't cycling make it even worse? Like you're so bent over, right?
No, not really. So I had a L4, L5, and S1 degeneration, right? And that's from swinging the golf club many years, since I was 10. So, I wouldn't, at first I thought, maybe it might hurt, but, if your fitting is good, your back is pretty stable, right? You're just bent over. Your legs are moving, your upper body is moving a little bit, but the core of your body is pretty stable, and from golf the core is actually quite stable already. So had some core fitness there, right?
And are you still involved in golfing right now with the training and stuff, or?
No, I sell shoes now, really.
Okay.
But golf shoes for Echo, and I work with our HQ, and we design, develop, and sell the shoes to whoever wants them.
And you started cycling back in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
What got you into cycling? I mean, golf and cycling doesn't come hand in hand, totally two different sports.
Yeah, so I wanted to do something that was a bit more cardio based. Golf is a very explosive sport, which is not, you don't work on cardio so much. You might do some running or whatever, but I think cycling was a great cardio activity. I used to play paintball, and that was like for cardio as well. But with all the back issues, I think cycling was the best one. And I got a bike from my brother-in-law who didn't want to ride anymore, and it was too big for me. So I just rode it for a little while, figured that I think I like this, I think I'll start it, and then I got myself a bike.
Was it a road bike, the one that your brother had?
Yeah, my brother-in-law had a road bike. It was a Scott TCR or something like that, but it was a pretty old one.
So just lying around the house?
Yeah, he wasn't using it anymore, and then
Okay.
I took it from him, cycled a bit, and then decided it was too big, I need to get my own, and
Okay.
yeah.
And the first bike was?
The first bike was a Trek Madone 4.3, I think it was. Even though it's a Madone, it was the lower end Madone, right? So it's more like a casual cycling bike. And I bought that from Chapter 2 when Nat was working there. So I've known Nat since that day in 2014. And he's looked after me all the while since then.
For those who don't know who Nat is the guy running One Bike Asia.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, we met at One Bike Asia, so you must be a VIP customer of OBA.
Not VIP, but I'd say I'm a loyal customer.
Right.
I've built, I got my Trek from them. I've built S-Works tarmac from them. I built another Madone 9 with them. And of course, this one with them as well.
Right. Sorry, so coming back to the bikes that you've owned, so you said you got the Madone.
Yeah.
And then you've got the S-Works, SL6?
The SL5 actually.
SL5.
Yeah.
And then a Madone again.
Yeah, I went back to a Madone, the Madone 9 RSL, so the Race Shop Limited Edition. H1 spec. My wife bought it for me for my 40th birthday.
Wow.
So she's like, yeah, here's a bike frame for you. I'm like, whoa. It's a really, really nice frame. The color, it was a bronze color.
Yeah.
And I really loved the color, and the fitting was nice. It was, it was size 50, so it was a bit lower, and because H1 it was longer as well. So I really loved the fit on that, and it was comfortable to ride, really comfortable to ride.
Do you still have the bike?
No, I sold it off just before I bought this one.
Yeah.
Because I can't have too many bikes in the house.
Wait, so your wife bought you the bike, so she knows about bikes?
She's
a cyclist?
She rides a Brompton.
Okay.
I bought her a Brompton. She's a COVID cyclist, right? So she didn't know how to ride a bike till we went into lockdown, and I taught her how to ride a bike, and then I bought her a Brompton. So that was her introduction to cycling. But she doesn't know much about the race bikes. She knows I like them, and lucky to have a supporting wife that supports my habits.
Yeah. So she knows the full price of all these bikes, the fact that she bought you that Madone.
Yeah.
Was she shocked that wow, but why are bikes so expensive? And
well, the good thing was the Madone was on offer, so it didn't seem that expensive.
Yeah.
But yes, she does know the full cost of all my bikes because she actually buys insurance for me.
Okay.
For the bike, yeah.
Insurance for the bike?
Yeah.
Etika?
Etika, yeah.
Okay.
But I think they don't offer it anymore. I think they just stopped recently. But before that, all my bikes were insured with Etika.
And how does that insurance work? What's the coverage like in the policy?
I think it covers you for Singapore, and if you pay the rider, Malaysia and Thailand as well, I think. But it does cover the full value of your bike up till 2 or 3 years, I think, and then after that it depreciates. The older your bike gets, like you don't get 100%, you get like 90%,
Right.
80%, whatever it is.
Okay.
But thank God I've never had to use it to claim anything. I haven't been in a serious bike accident, so yeah, touch wood, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But,
yes, this is made out of wood.
So yeah, I just, better to have and not use than need to use and don't have,
Yeah.
That's the idea.
So coming back to the bikes that you've owned, tell us about the story behind the bikes that you've got and the experience riding them.
So the Trek Madone 4, it came as a 105, and then I experimented with upgrading the bike. So you went through the process of, okay, let's try the next group setup. So that's the Ultegra. Played around with a few different wheel sets, and then I just felt that I've just been wasting my money, just keep trying different things and upgrading. So I managed to get a S-Works Tarmac SL5 from a friend who had a frame and didn't use. So I took it over, and it's a beautiful frame, right? It's this like turquoisey blue color. And I built it up. Didn't spend too much on the wheels again. I think I went with Princeton racing wheels. So the local
Princeton.
Princeton, yeah.
Never heard of them.
Oh, really?
Local Singaporean brand?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I tried Princeton, and then the bike was nice. The Tarmac SL5 is really a light bike. It's maybe the first all-rounder that I've tried, right? It's like a climbing bike to all-rounder bike. And it was very light, very responsive, very, very comfortable to ride.
It's a rim, right?
Yeah, all rim brake.
Yeah.
And then from there, I thought, okay, I need to get, I like a bit more speed. So I looked at the Madone 9. And I've always liked the shape of the Madone 9 with the ISO speed that they had to make it more comfortable. So I like that. And, the shape was always very appealing, right? You look at the shape and, when a shape appeals to you, you sort of like gravitate to it all the time. So, of course, I looked at it. I showed my wife a few pictures. Hey, this one looks good. And I have a look at this one. Oh, isn't that color nice? And that's the way I always set her up to let her know that I'm buying a new bike.
Okay.
So I just keep, dropping hints like, oh, this looks good. And what's your opinion? What do you think? And, after a while, I told her there was a sale at Technology. And we went there to have a look. And then we saw the frame. And she's like, yeah, it's nice. I like it too. All right, I'll buy it for you for your 40th. And
Wow.
that's that. So
Okay. So frame only.
frame only, yeah.
And do you buy new group sets or was it ported over from the other bike?
No, so I bought a new group set. So the Tarmac SL5, I put a Dura Ace 11 speed. And, it was quite expensive, but I thought, nice frame, put a nice group set. And it's meant for climbing anyway. But when I went to the Madone 9, I decided to go electronic. So I went with the Ultegra Di2 11-speed group set. And then I felt very comfortable with it. And the Dura Ace is like the Ultegra, but maybe more durable.
Yeah.
And
lighter.
Yeah.
Lighter.
So I think for myself, the Ultegra is more than enough.
Yeah. Sounds like a no-brainer question. You've owned the SL5, which is more towards like a light climbing kind of bike, and then the Madone, all-out aero bike, right?
Yeah.
For Singapore riding, aero or lightweight climbing bike?
I'd say if I have to choose, I would go aero. If I had to choose between the two, but then I got this one, which is the all-rounder, right? It's got a bit of aero dynamic shapes to it, but it's also got some climbing properties, so it's meant to use for everything.
Let's jump straight into this one.
Yeah.
Why did you sell the Madone and get the Ostro?
First reason was the Madone was a rim brake, and I knew it's coming to a time where everyone will be switching to a disc brake, and disc brakes were the future, right? So I was like, okay, it's time I sell this before I can't sell it anymore, right? And if I can't sell it, it means it's just decoration for my wall. It'll just be up on the wall, hanging there, 40th birthday present.
This one.
Yeah, it'll just be like 40th birthday present from the wife. It's sentimental value, whatever. But then again, I managed to sell it, which gave me some cash to fund this one, right? So, I got the frame. I like the look of the frame. I liked Factor Ostro. One of the reasons was they don't have any different levels of bike. Like there's no takedown model of the Ostro. A Factor Ostro is a Factor Ostro, right? There's no Factor Ostro Light kind of version. So I like that, and I like the shape of it. The only thing I didn't quite like was the color. So I bought a white one to begin with, and then I rode it for a while, and I was like, I didn't know much about the color. Like it didn't really appeal to me. So after, I think for 5 months, I brought it back to one bike, and I said, hey, you guys need to get this bike spray painted for me. I said, I just want to change the color.
Wait, so you've decided that you wanted the Factor Ostro, but you just didn't like the color. Like, you mean all the colors of the Ostro that they offered, or just?
Well, I always liked a lighter color bike, right? Either light or bright. And most of them were kind of on the, the more even darkish tones, and there was a white one which had a bit of a blue and a red on the inside as well. And that was okay for a while, but I thought I wanted something a bit more unique. And I guess the good thing about respraying the bike is it feels like a new bike again, right? It's a new color. So when I get bored of this color or when I damage the paint, I'll just respray it again because I really love riding this bike.
Sorry to cut you off earlier. So you said you sent it back to One Bike Asia to get it spray painted. But do they offer spray painting as part of the option, or just because you know them and they're like, okay, I'll hook you up with someone? Or
Yeah, they know someone. I don't know the name, but
Yeah.
you know they've got to help me take out all the parts anyway. So it's all like let's take out all the parts, and service the bike at the same time, and send the frame for respraying. So they help me do everything.
how much was the spray painting?
I think it was all in all the whole thing plus all the servicing and extras. I paid. I think it was 800. I think.
Are you happy with the results of the spray paint?
Yeah. I really do. I mean, this is dragon white. They call this color dragon white, and it's got a bit of it's white base, but there's a gold shimmer. There's a bit of a pink shimmer, and a blue shimmer, depending on the reflection of the light.
And what do you tell them? What was your description towards to buy One Bike Asia when you wanted to spray it? Do you give them a reference point, or did they have like a catalog of colors?
So I spoke to the guys there, whoever was in the shop, right? The mechanics, customers, you know, just talking about colors of the bike and what they had on the floor. And you know, I looked around and look at this color palette that was on offer. Like you can choose one of these color palettes, one of the colors from the color palette, and it was basically a car paint palette, right? So you see cars with the same sort of colors, and I chose this one.
Okay.
I think the hardest choice was what to accent the bike with. So
gold.
gold, yeah.
What was the inspiration behind the gold?
I think from my last bike, which was a bit bronzy and gold kind of color, I wanted something like that. I like that color a lot, so I went with this like bronzy gold.
Right. Did it take long for them to get the bike spray painted?
Well, there was a bit of a queue because you know you got to queue up. It was done just after COVID, I think. I can't remember now. I think 22 sometime, and I think I had to wait like 3 weeks in queue, and then I dropped my bike off, and then they sent it off, and then I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks later. I said, look, don't rush.
Yeah.
It's,
You don't want to...
I don't want a bad paint job, right?
Yeah.
So just take your time, paint it, do it right, and then I'll take it when it's ready.
Right. And when you got it, you were like, wow, this is exactly what I wanted?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And tell us, how tall are you? What's your geometry like, and what size is this?
So this is a size 52. Yes, it's a size 52. And I think I could have gone into 54, but you know, you always want a little bit of a smaller frame and a longer stem. That's sort of like the preference, right? So I went with the 52, and but this is 90 millimeter. I think I should use 100 millimeter, but you know, 90 is fine. It's comfortable. And I'm 168 cm. I think I got shorter because of my back injury.
Yeah.
I was like 169.
1 cm shorter.
Yeah.
Okay.
But maybe a bit of old age as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then so size 52. And then everything else was done by ID Match, and they set it up.
So One Bike Asia offers ID Match. I think, I might be wrong, but I think they're one of the first who brought in ID Match in Singapore.
Yeah.
And it was the biggest thing, I think, because it's a very kind of different bike fitting. It's all done by the computer, right?
Yeah.
Tell us, how was that? So when you buy the bike, do they give you a complimentary bike free with ID Match, or do you have to top up for that?
Well, it was, you know, I built the whole bike. So it was, you know, I told them the frame I wanted. Actually, I got the frame first, and I was just waiting for the Groupset because it was sold out everywhere. Or we were waiting for the new Ultegra 12 speed, right? So I was like, no, I'll wait. And they got me one of the first few sets that they got into the shop. So it was really waiting for me. What was I saying?
Bike fitting with ID Match.
Yes. So the bike fit with ID Match, you know, it chose everything for me, right? I just chose what kind of position I wanted, like more racing or more comfort and everything. And then it just made adjustments along the way. And then it ended up with this.
So everything is very data-based. They plug in all the numbers into the computer, and then, like you've mentioned, what kind of racing geometry you would like your bike. Do you try all different geometries, like relax, racy?
Well, they explained it to me, right? There's the relax, there's a classic, which is the one I chose, and then there's a more race. So depending on what you choose, it would adjust that ID Match bike frame accordingly, and it'll push you to the limits on both ends, and then it just pull it back in.
So, and you chose classic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that one, the classic, is more like you're riding on the drops
Yeah.
a lot longer for long periods of time, and in the aero hood's position. That's the way that this bike is set up for.
And have you done a bike fit before?
Yes, I did. Previously I did a bike fit with Louis
Okay.
on my Trek Madone at that time because it was the first, so like my first racing road bike.
I heard he's a very reputable guy, and he does a lot of professional bike fits. How was your bike fitting experience with Louis, and how do you compare it against ID Match?
I think I was still quite new to cycling at that time, so maybe a bit unfair for me to judge the first fitting. It was okay. It was comfortable. We did change saddle position, cleat position, and I think the stem as well. So we changed like 3 main parts for the bike to fit better. And that was all to help me hold the bike a bit better and not hurt my back. Because of my back, I was like, okay, I need to do a fit, right? So that was the main things that were changed. It was done by Kelvin Sim, our national rider at the time. I think he was there and just happened to do it for me. So so I did that. And then with the ID Match, it's sort of like maybe I was a bit more experienced. I've been riding it for a few more years now, and it's time to update the fitting system, right? So I ride longer. I'm a bit stronger. I know what I want in a bike fit. I know what I want to feel, and I think the ID Match system sort of like gave it to me.
Okay, and that's on bike fitting.
Yeah.
Let's continue about the bike. So how did you kit this up? I see you've got Princeton's, Ultegra, 12 speed. Run us through the whole entire bike and the accessories that you have on.
So I got the frame was an easy one, and then the next big thing was the Groupset, which was the 12 speed Ultegra Di2, which was just new on the market then, and then the Wheelset. And I've always wanted. I told my wife, I was like, when I get a disc brake, I'm going to buy a really nice wheelset, because the wheels on a rim brake, you could damage the wheel wall, right?
The surface.
The surface wall. And on a disc brake, it doesn't damage the wheel, so you can keep it effectively longer, right? So I said, I'll get a really good wheel set, and it was the Princeton 6560 Wake.
Did he Swiss? Or
No, this is White Industries.
Okay.
So it's not the top of the range hub, but it's a hub that I know works, and I've used it before, and it does its job.
Yeah.
And then for power meter, I went with the Garmin, the RS200 that it came out around about that time as well, and it was an update from the old power meter pedals that they had that were I read, that were a little bit problematic, but this one, it's really good. I have no issues with it whatsoever, and it's measuring power just off your foot. So it's really as direct as you can, in my opinion, as direct as you can getting a power reading. And then, handlebar was set by ID Match. Grip tape, I told Nat, I said, look, whatever looks good, just put something on.
As long as it works.
I have no preference on bar tape at all.
Yeah.
And then the big thing that my wife wanted on my bike was the cameras. So I use Cycliq Fly 6 CE and Fly 12 CE as well. And it's my second set. I had the first original set, and I changed when there was an offer. I think 11 or something, it was an offer, and I bought the newer version. And for her, it's more a safety thing. So if anything happens to me, she knows what happens to me. And it's also good, like if incidents happen on the road, you've got sort of like video evidence. It can be dangerous on the road. So it's always good to be aware of your surroundings and have something to back you up with in case anything does go wrong. And then the saddle was recommended from Nat. He's like, look, I think you can fit this. This is what's recommended by the ID Match system, but try it out. If it doesn't work, let me know. And it just fit perfectly.
What saddle is this?
This is the Selle Italia SLR, I think.
Okay.
Or something like that.
Okay.
Previously, before this, it was a GBOmized sleek saddle. And so I've always used a fairly narrow saddle, and a fairly hard saddle. I just find the hard ones more comfortable than the soft ones. So I've always stayed that way.
So no 3D printed one for you?
I've never tried actually, and I hear it's the craze, right? Everyone's like trying it now, so I don't know, maybe.
Saddle choice obviously very personal. I guess it takes a lot of years of riding or different saddles to finally figure out the one that fits you. Do you believe that there is one saddle that fits that rider, or it's more of your body conforming to that saddle?
Well, that's a tough one. I think it's a bit of both. Like, you have certain preferences of what you want. So I like a narrow saddle because of my sit bones, and I like something with a cutout. But I want it as hard as possible with some cushion on it as well. So the on top of the saddle is soft, but the base is rock hard, right? And that's my preference. And then, if there's always varying, if you try different saddles, there's varying amounts of stiffness, varying amounts of cushion. But when I try to stick to that, even though it's the same requirements, you still get some differences, right? And then, you just carry on, and after a while, it actually feels normal.
Right. And okay, let's talk about the Cycliq camera as well. So you say it's more of a safety reason. I mean, obviously it's for that. Is Cycliq the only? I mean, there are like the Chinese versions out there. How's the battery life on the Cycliq, and are there any other bigger players in terms of cycling cameras? Yeah,
I've seen a few other cameras that are rear bike cameras available. I also looked at whether you should use a GoPro or a DJI Osmo. And I know some guys do use that as well. But the front camera, I think I get 3+ hours, 3.5 hours
on full charge.
Yeah, on full charge, and it's on a strobe, right? So it's blink, 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 blink. So it has that kind of strobe. And the rear is about 3 hours, just about 3 hours as well. So if you're going for, I guess, 100-kilometer ride, it's just about right, or might run out towards the end. So when on long rides, I do make it a habit to switch it off if I'm not using it.
Yeah. It's a bit chunky, right?
Yeah, a little bit chunky, a little bit heavy. The rear camera is not so bad.
Yeah.
The front camera is the one that's really heavy. But what I like about it goes on loop recording, which some of the other cameras can.
Yeah.
But the 3.5 hours, 3+ hours of battery life, I think that's the big one. I don't think any other camera can do that kind of battery life.
Hopefully going forward in the next couple of years, it will shrink in size, and it'll be so small. Like now you look at some rear blinkers, they are so extremely small. I think one of the ones that I really like, exposure is one of them, and also the Bond Rager, the track ones, the very small tiny flare RT. I think that's really powerful.
Yeah.
So this all has inbuilt lights, right?
Yeah, so it's got lights. It's got the camera. You do all the settings on the app on your phone, so you can set. You want to take off certain settings, like you don't want like the bright lights. You just take off all the bright ones, or you choose. There's like 12, 9, or something.
Yeah.
Different options for blink rates and blink brightness, and you just choose the ones you want to use.
Okay. And back to the Wheelset. These are the Carbon Wake 6560 paired with White Industries. Reviews of Princeton's.
It is very well. Okay, so my previous Wheelset was a Zip 404 NSW. Pretty good, but I felt not as stiff, and probably not as good into the wind. Like these ones, okay, they're a bit thicker, so it's a bit hard to compare, but it's a bit thicker. It holds the speed very well at higher speed. So, 35, 36, it holds that speed very, very well. It's just a little bit less effort on the flat. I think the whole design of this shoe is, the wheels is it carries the momentum well. Aerodynamics is good. The jagged edges for the crosswind, I felt it once when I was cycling TMCR, and the one crosswind just blew from the side. Once you pass these barriers, construction barriers, and then the wind came, and I was like, whoa! But it didn't feel so bad. Other people felt it worse, and they're like, I was like, okay.
So it helps.
Yeah.
Okay. And in terms of hub choice, right, for people out there who are looking to buy wheels or hubs, how do they even look for the right hubs, or is there a right hub? Because there's so many choices out there. You've got your Chris King, DT Swiss, White Industries, Carbon TI, so many, right?
Yeah.
How do you choose the right hub?
That's a really tough one. I think one is experience and talking to different people about their experiences. There are a lot of cyclists out there that have tried so many different things. But when you're going to buy something so expensive, it's good to do a lot of research first. So there's a lot of videos on YouTube where people give reviews, personal experiences from friends. White Industries, I will put it in the mid-range, mid to maybe a little bit higher range of performance-wise. Everyone's always said Chris King is very good, but maybe a little bit too much money to put in there.
I agree. I have them. It's too much money, too heavy, and a bit over the top for a road bike.
Yeah, it does look a little bit chunkier, the hub itself. And I saw online that maintaining a Chris King hub after a few years, it's quite hard. Like it's quite troublesome to pull apart and put it back together. You need proper training and all that, as you do with most things. But the Chris King one was a bit more complicated. I'm never going to tear it apart. I'll just leave it to the experts to do that. But those kind of things, like, okay, so it is a complex build. I think what I'm interested to try that's been quite recent is the Tactic hub.
By Princeton, right?
On the Princeton, yeah. So a few of the guys that I ride with, they have the Peak 4550, and it comes with a Tactic hub. And it sounds really nice, and they say that it's got better wheel engagement, more engagements in the hub. So I don't know, maybe sell this wheel set and get another one. Maybe.
Hint to the wife.
Well, not hint to the wife, hint to everyone out there. You can sell this wheel set.
Okay, how much would you price your bike at right now?
Price my bike at? Well, I bought it for about 16 plus thousand, something. It's like almost 17,000 all in. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But you don't spend more on it, right? You're not constantly looking to upgrade. You're happy with what you buy, one-time pain, and just enjoy it.
And what's the weight?
It is, I think, without the Cycliq, all the extras, the Garmin and the water bottles, I think it was 7.2 when I picked it up at the shop.
Oh, it's light.
Yeah.
Light. Okay.
Yeah, and then I put everything on, and now it's like 8 point something.
Wax or lube on the chains?
Wax.
Wax?
Definitely
you do it by
wax.
yourself or you send it to the shop?
Well, again, I let the expert guys at One Bike do it for me. They started it, I think, during COVID, and they started experimenting with some wax. And I was one of the few guys that approached them, say, "Yeah, I want to do it as well. Get me involved and try different wax." This one's with the Silca secret recipe. I think there's some tests done by some guys in Australia. I can't remember the name of the website, but they said that this wax is probably one of the best value for money wax around.
So how long does this last until you got to re-wax the whole chain?
It's supposed to be like 1,000 kilometers, but I have done about maybe 12 to 1,400 kilometers before I noticed like any sound, or I do a few things which I listen to the sound, like if it's making any noise, or I rub the chain and just make sure that there's nothing black or oil on it. So there's no oil on it, so it's fine.
Perfectly clean.
Yeah, so you can rub it.
Yeah.
If you have to do maintenance, it's you don't get anything on your hand. So
right. Okay. And are you going to make any more upgrades to this?
No, maybe the wheel set.
Okay.
That's
Wheelset. Last one about the reviews on the frame. So people out there who might be looking at this, they might be thinking of getting an Ostro.
I really like it. I think the geometry suits me very well. Coming from the Madone 9, which is a bit more aero, I think this comes very, very close to it. And then, of course, if you wanted to match exactly, you almost could. But it's just, I don't know, it feels more comfortable overall. It's more direct. I feel like when I'm going downhill and I'm doing like S-curves or whatever, it seems to handle the cornering a lot better.
I remember I read one comment on one of my videos. People asking me the guy asked me, can you ask the guys that you interview about their tire setup? So you've got here Pirellis, but
Yes.
I can't tell what model this is.
So
P0?
P0, yeah.
Tubeless?
Tubeless, yes.
And what's the pressure that you run?
I run 80 PSI on the front and 85 in the back.
Okay. I'm assuming you've used clinchers before?
Yes.
And how is tubeless life-changing?
I can't tell the difference, actually.
Really? You can't tell the difference?
I couldn't. Well, the only difference I can tell is I am running a lower PSI. right? So there is some comfort benefits. Rolling resistance wise, I think there's some benefit there, but it's quite minor.
Yeah.
The reason for going into tubeless is puncture resistance, really. So if you get a small puncture, it fills it up and then off you go.
Have you had punctures on the tubeless yet?
Touch wood?
Not yet.
I've never had a puncture.
Never had a puncture? Even on clinchers?
Never.
What? Either that or you are changing your tires very often so that you know it's puncture proof.
Well, I think I make it a point to change tires, you know, every 1,500 or 2,000 kilometers. It's the only contact point to the road, so you know it's always better to be safe, and that's your only contact point.
Are these 28s?
These are 26, I think.
26.
25, 26? I can't remember.
Okay, let's see if it's written here.
26.
26?
Yeah.
26, okay. And what was my question? Oh, okay, choice of tires. Are you always on Pirellis?
No, I've tried a few. Before this was the Vittoria Corsa.
I'm looking at the Corsa. Tell me about it.
It was nice. I actually really liked the Corsas. I think I could feel the sidewall was a bit softer. So I don't know whether that gives you less puncture resistance or not, but you know the sidewall was felt a bit softer. More of the rubber was on the actual rolling portion. It was quite fast. I felt it was quite fast. Yeah, but I've tried so many, and you know, there was one I didn't like, but I totally forgot what it is because I just didn't like it. I was like, you need to change these tires. I don't like this tire.
Why was it? Because the rolling resistance was very high?
No, it just felt very harsh.
Okay.
It might be GP. Was that a GP 4000?
4000 S2.
It was one of the GP 4000s that I didn't like, and I put it on. I was like, oh, that's harsh.
Right. Clinchers, right, at that time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then after that, when I've gone tubeless, it's always been very comfortable.
So if you were to change after this, what's the next set of tires? Are you going to stick to P0s?
I might try the GP 5000 because I've heard a lot of good things.
You've not tried it yet?
I've not tried it.
Okay.
Because before this was the Corsa and then now the Pirelli, so you know maybe the GP 5000 or let's see what else. If the guys at One Bike have something new tire in or something, I'll just try that.
So I am looking to change my tires. I've been using Continentals for the longest time, and I went on to this website called Bicycle Rolling Resistance. So they show you all different type of tires, the rolling resistance, and I think one of it that was really interesting was the Michelin. I think it's called the Pro Cup. Michelin Pro Cup. Yeah, not very popular. I don't know why. I don't know who sells them here in Singapore. So I went on to Carousel. Just looked it up. There was one guy who was selling it, but it's $90 for one piece. It's insanely expensive.
Well, I mean, if it does what it's supposed to do, you know, if it's $10 more than the competitor that's around about the same thing, but this one performs better.
Yeah.
You know, maybe once in a while you just try. You don't have to do it all the time.
Right.
Unless you get addicted.
Okay. Before we move on to the IG questions, any dislikes of this bike? Anything you wish would have been different?
I think I would have liked it to be a little bit lighter.
Everyone wants it to be lighter, faster.
But I don't know. I like pretty much everything about it. I don't know whether my paint is because of my paint job. They made it a little bit heavier. I don't know, but you know, if it was half a kilo less, would it be nice? But you know, you can always save 200 grams with a Dura Ace Groupset.
Carbon parts here and there.
The smaller profile wheel might save you a couple hundred grams. So
titanium bolts.
So you can find that extra 500 grams, but no, look, I enjoy riding this.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll go on to some questions that people have submitted about your bike.
Thanks, everyone.
I posted a picture of you in Taiwan, and you said you recently came back from Taiwan. Was it second time again or third time?
No, it's my first time to Taiwan to do a bike ride. So my first time overseas to do a bike ride.
Wuling, right?
Yeah.
So I posted a picture of you up there, and this guy who came onto my channel before, he asked you, do you go up Wuling on the westward or eastward?
I think it was the west side.
What's the difference?
I think the east side is a lot steeper, and that's where they run the full Taiwan KOM. But we went from the west side, which is a little bit easier, a bit more scenic, I think. Actually, no, they're both very scenic, but just different steepness. But we didn't start at the bottom. It was the last day of our cycling trip, and so it was day 5, the 4th ride, and we started at about 2,000 or just under 2,000 meters elevation, and then we climbed to the top. So it was 1,200 meters of climbing, of elevation gain in 20 kilometers. So it was not very long.
So that's a perfect segue to me asking this question. You rode on this bike up Taiwan?
Yes, I brought this bike with me with a few changes.
Oh, okay. Tell us about it.
So I went the wheel set. I borrowed a friend's wheel set. It was the Grit 4540, also Princeton, so a little bit shallower. And I changed my front chainring to, so this is a 5236. I went to the compact, the 5034. And in the rear, I went to 1134. This one here is 1130. So it's, this one's more set up for Singapore and
Flats.
yeah, so that one had a bit more change for a bit more of a hill climb. Because I've never really climbed long distance before, right?
Yeah.
Singapore, the longest you got is Mount Faber. Yeah, so it's not very long. It's,
How do you prep for the ride, and tell us the experience of riding up Taiwan, man?
I prepped very, very badly.
Okay.
I was very busy with work at that time, and I sort of like had to force myself to get on Zwift, do some training programs, and then try to. When I went out to ride, I tried to ride on a harder gear, just to simulate, like you're climbing up a hill where you're feeling a lot more resistance. So that's all I did, and I only started prepping maybe a month before. So really, really bad.
So not recommended to do trainings on Zwift.
No, you could, like if you did, the ADZ map on Zwift, you could do that. And I think during the COVID lockdown, I did it a lot because I wanted that Tron bike, so I did it a lot. But yeah, you could do it, but I just didn't have time to do it. It's a good 2-hour ride. So yeah.
So you went up to Taiwan, Wuling, underprepared?
A little bit, yes.
Yeah, right. And how was it riding up there?
It was okay. The first day, we saw like build up to it, right? So the first day we did Taoyuan to Taichung, and then we did Taichung to Puli, and then we did that Sun Moon Lake reservoir ride, which was beautiful. Sun Moon Lake is such a beautiful area to ride. And then Wuling the last day, this like 20 kilometers, but like a deadly 20 kilometers.
But you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. I mean, it was a lot of self-talk going up that hill because the people spread out. You don't really talk to anybody, right? And you start talking to yourself. Okay. And then I also realized that I was underprepared in terms of clothing. So I went there with just a regular cycling kit. When we started, it was like 22 degrees. By the time I was like halfway up, it was already down to the teens and the wind was blowing. So my fingers started getting numb. My body was getting cold.
The wind kills you.
Yeah, the wind is tough. So I had one of my cycling friends lend me his cycling jacket, which I wore. And then 2 kilometers later, I stopped the van to ask them to give me my jacket. So I had another jacket on.
A cycling jacket or just like a regular jacket?
It's like this regular Adidas jacket. And
okay.
yeah, I just used that to complete the ride. And, I had to stop quite a bit because the air gets very, very thin up there. So you run out of breath quite a lot. So it's sort of like, a few hundred meters, and then you sort of like slow down, hold the railing.
Yeah.
Don't unclip, hold the railing, just catch your breath, and then you go again. And
yeah,
that's what I did to get to. I was like, by hook or by crook, I'm going to make it to the top because I just want to reach the top.
And then you guys rode down?
No. The guys, the bike tour guys, they had the vehicles up there, and we loaded it on top of the van, and they took us down.
Okay. I'm going to move on to the next question. I love this one. How much does your wife think that your bike cost?
She knows exactly what my bike cost.
Never lie to your wife, guys. Okay, so she knows the full price.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to cut this question because you answered it already. 7.2 is light for an Ostro with deep wheels.
Yeah.
Is that with pedals, cages, and mount?
Without pedals.
So
without
the dry weight of 7.2. Okay. Is it compulsory to slam the stem, or is it for aesthetic or gains?
So my stem is slammed because ID Match said so. So it was up top, and I was riding it for a while like that. But if I were to stay riding on the drops or in the arrow hoods position, I should slam it. And I was a bit skeptical, but the guy said, look, just slam it and try it. So we didn't cut it off. You can see that there's still a bit sticking out the top. So we've not cut it off, but it's slammed for a fitting reason and not for aesthetic reason.
Yeah, so I would recommend people who are undecided whether should they slam or not, just gradually do it and never cut it off until you are 100% certain that you know that it's going to fit you, then you cut it off, right?
Yeah, I went from full to slammed.
Yeah.
And I've just left it because I don't know if I'm selling this bike.
Okay.
So you cut it off only if you're going to keep the bike for forever.
I never had that thought, because I understand what you say, because if you want to sell it to someone else, they might want that extra stack, right? And they say that it depreciates the value if you've got it fully cut. But I just can't stand it, man. I every time I get the bike, if I know I can slam, I'll slam it and I'll just chop the whole thing off. Hopefully I don't regret. But so far it's okay. I've held the bike for about 2 years now, my bike.
I think it's I wouldn't have slammed it if not for the fit. So the fit said I should slam it. And
So there's no plans to cut the chimney off?
I don't know.
Biggest decision ever.
I never really thought about it because it's there. I can see it there. But it doesn't really bother me, so I just leave it.
Okay. I love this one. Must all Ostros be paired with Princeton wake?
Oh. I know there's been a lot. There's a lot out there. The Factor Ostro is a really nice bike. It's a nice frame. It's stiff but comfortable. It's aerodynamic. Could be lighter, and that's probably the only gripe. And when it's a disc brake, hopefully other people have the same reasoning as me. Disc brake, you might want to spend a bit more because it's a disc brake. And I think Princeton is one of the best wheels out there, in my opinion. Just riding, I've tried a few local brands. I've tried Zips and Envy. And this is still by far my favorite.
Really?
Yeah, so maybe other people have had their opinion as well.
Yeah.
Or maybe they hang out at one bike like me, and they keep seeing it. The more you see something, maybe you just gravitate to it.
Yeah.
But it's a wheel set that they carry and they sell, and if you buy a bike from them, I think you generally gravitate to something that they sell it, and I like the look of it. So maybe other people do as well.
Yeah. Okay. And you've got Hambini bottom brackets.
Yes.
Why did you get Hambini's bottom bracket, and reviews about them? Should people upgrade their bottom brackets?
So the Factor comes with a ceramic speed bottom bracket already.
Sorry, actually the question was, on top of my question, the question was, can you also give the review of the Hambini versus the ceramic speed?
Okay, so it comes with a ceramic speed bottom bracket, right? I didn't try it at all. So when I got this bike, I'm like, it's sort of like a dream build, right? So, I've heard about the Hambini bottom brackets, and the big thing about it is it might be a little bit heavier, right? It uses steel and all that, but the tolerance level, very, very small tolerance levels. So you get, it's accurate, right? There's very small deviations, and, I like that. I like that close to perfection kind of thing. And that's why I got into it. It's sometimes when it's more expensive, it's better, right? So, if you're going to be building $16,000, $17,000 bike, what's a few $100s more? So I'm sorry, I can't give you the review of ceramic speed. It's my first ceramic speed bottom bracket, and I didn't even install it. I went to the Hambini.
Okay, so on the topic of just adding a few $100s, since you spend so much money on the bike, is the bike comfortable given that your wallet is a goner? Hopefully the body is still intact.
Well, so I didn't have to pay the full amount because I sold a bike to fund this, so that funded most of it. And then it's like buying the wife an expensive handbag, but it's for me.
Handbag for yourself.
Exactly. And you get it at the end of the year, when you get your bonus, or you saved up a little bit, and then you get it. Treat yourself to something that you've worked hard the whole year for, and just treat yourself to something nice.
Yeah. You've mentioned that you've owned the old Dura Ace before. So the question is, why did you choose the Ultegra, and why didn't you go full out for the Dura Ace?
So I tried the Dura Ace 11-speed mechanical, and it was light. It was fast. It was Like you could feel the difference when you shifted. And then I asked this question to GCN actually. I'm like, if you had a choice, would you go Dura Ace mechanical or Ultegra Di2? And they said, always Di2. So that's what they messaged me back. So that's always stuck in my head, even though I went with a Dura Ace with the SL5. And then when I went to the Madone, it was Ultegra Di2. And then when I got this, I was like, okay, 12 speed, do you want Ultegra Di2? Or because we're spending so much, maybe we spend a bit more and get the Dura Ace.
A few hundred.
Yeah, well, it's not a few hundred, it's a couple of thousand. It's a couple of thousand. So it's a couple of thousand and you're saving 220 grams or 230 grams, somewhere around there. I couldn't justify it. Like, $2,000 more to save 200 plus grams. It's like, no, it's okay. I think I can live with 200 plus grams.
And your point of the going full out for Di2, right? I have to agree because I obviously came from mechanical and I got Di2. I'll never go back to mechanical.
Yeah, never.
If you have the means, right, then obviously go for the Di2. But yeah, it's so life changing, man. Just the ease of changing gears is so easy, and I love it.
I think my favorite thing about the Di2 is when you do the semi-synchronized shifting. So when I drop my front chainring, my back it shifts two chains harder. So there's less of a jump.
And it doesn't cross the chains.
Yeah, and then when I go up higher, it drops the back easier by 1. So I set up, it's 2 by default, but I set it up to 1. So just on what I feel like when I'm pedaling, when do I change? So I just adjust that according in the app. So I like that feature a lot.
Yeah, Di2 is life changing, guys. Question from my editor. How does the Cycliq front light perform when there is a need for a 2C purpose, when you actually need to see the footage? And also the rear light, how is the overall performance compared to the other competitor? Have you heard of Too Cycling? TOOO.
Yes.
Yeah, so yes. 2 questions.
I've not tried the Too Cycling, so I'm sorry, I can't comment on that one. I've tried 2 Cycliq rear cameras now, the original one and the Fly 6 CE. I've never had to, I've used the footage once to report an errand driver.
What happened?
He came really, really close to me for no apparent reason because there was empty roads on the side and he just had to come close to me. I'm like, what the hell? So I was like, I wasn't taking any of it. I said, it's all right, you guys go. I'm not going to fight you or anything. I'll just report you, and I've got video footage. So I've used that a couple of times when that's happened. So it's pretty good at night. Daytime is very good. I think it's 1080p, and it's good enough to catch license plates. If it's very fast and it's dark, maybe you might struggle a bit. But so far, I've never had a time when couldn't see a license plate when I needed to.
Right.
But getting it out of the Cycliq, in the early days, it would connect to the app and you would download it into the app and you can work on it in the app. But for some reason, a few years ago, it stopped working that way. So you just have to take the SD card out, put it in your computer and load the footage.
And to your point of when that guy came really close to you and you just don't fight the guy, right?
Yeah.
So I always emphasize this to my friends or people who are coming into the sport is to practice defensive cycling. Never get into a situation where you're in a fight with that person, right? I mean, the guy's in the car, he can ram you down if he wants to, and it's the aim that there's no restart button to this. And I mean, you unfortunately we picked this sport, right? You are bound to come into such situations, but it's of how you handle it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I try not to fight or have confrontations on the road. Of course, I think everyone needs to do their part. I think drivers need to do their part. I think cyclists need to do their part as well. Do the right thing on the road. And a friend said this last week, and he's like, "When has cycling ever been a danger when everyone followed the rules?" Right? And you think about it and you're like, yeah, it's quite true. If everyone followed the rules, we wouldn't have problems.
But we don't live in a perfect world.
Yeah. So I guess the way I ride is, and I commute to work on my bike as well. Not this one, the Brompton, but I always look out for other vehicles, like as if I were driving my car. Look far ahead, make sure you're not just looking in front of you, like
And anticipating the cars.
Yeah. Anticipate.
Yeah.
Try to use your experience to see whether someone's coming to crossover, or is this guy going to be able to see you if you make this move? And all this happens in a quite split-second moment. So maybe the more comfortable you are on the road, the better you get at riding on the road as well.
I'm just very curious, when you reported the errand driver to the cops, what happened after that? Radio silence?
No, the police actually got back to me and says, can you send us the full high-definition footage? Because you can only, I think when you make a traffic police report, you can only send 2 files. And I don't think it's a video, I think it's for photo as well. And a photo doesn't really tell you anything, right? You need to see what actually happens, like, the front, the back view, what led up to it. So I send them like the full length and like, here's the video. It's, it's 5 GB long. Enjoy, download it.
What happened after that? And then
so they will ask me for the footage. I'll send it to them, and I won't know the outcome.
Okay.
I never know the outcome, but
okay.
I've never been called to court, so I don't know.
All right, awesome. That's the end of all the questions that I have.
Oh.
Just want to give a shout out to people who are watching. I'm not sure if people are going to watch all the way up to almost the 1 hour mark. Carl has his own YouTube channel.
Yes.
Just a shout out to Carl if you guys want to follow him. So what do you post on the YouTube channel?
The YouTube channel started out from me flying drones, so just drone freestyles. I got influenced by my friend and started flying FPV drones freestyle, and I put some of the footage there. And then I started saying, oh, this is quite good. So I started my journey on video editing as well. So I started filming my kids, put some videos up there of some private. And then I said, maybe I'll do it for cycling as well. So, got a 360 camera, a few GoPros, and now I do it for cycling. So I'm currently on the process of editing my Taiwan trip. I've got 2 episodes up. The second episode launched this morning at 8 o'clock. And I did 360 look around video, so you can actually pan across with your phone, like move your phone around or use your finger to pan across and see the site.
Right.
So yeah, I think I quite enjoy making these videos for personal use, personal memories, and maybe one day when I'm gone, my kids have some memory they can refer to as well.
Wow, amazing. Carl, thank you so much for coming all the way here.
Thanks for the invite.
Good to see you. We're going to wrap up and just do a bit of footage of you riding. And that's it. Can we get a round of applause for Carl? Thank you so much, Carl. Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Got drunk off your life, and I lost myself again. You hit just like a drug. This time I won't let you in. You're playing with fire.